Awesome, awesome. Should be updating on the computer or the screen here soon. There we go.
Usually about 10 to 15 seconds behind, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit of a delay. Hey guys, welcome. Welcome. There we go.
Standard question, can you hear me?
Can you hear us? Merry Christmas, everybody. Welcome back to the lighter side of RC After Dark, Christmas edition. Yeah, Merry Christmas to everybody. If you don't celebrate Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and every other festival this time of year, whatever it is that you celebrate. So, and if you're just enjoying some quiet time with your family, happy that too. We're going to keep this this live a little bit short today, so it's probably going to be about an hour. We'll cut it off just because, you know, it's Christmas and we don't want to suck you away for too much time away from your family. So just thinking back to 2 weeks ago, what have we done in 2 weeks? Well, my Rebel is done. I got that done last weekend. That was pretty quick and easy. Well, it's done to the point where we're waiting on an engine. So it's essentially complete other than the engine and the final electronics install. T33, which we'll take a look at tonight. Joe from RC Custom 3D Printing stopped in today and dropped off the cockpit for the T33. And Kelly, I think I saw you on here. It looks amazing. I'm really glad that I got Joe to do it because he basically reprinted everything in the cockpit except the base tub, which was the BVM thing. He reprinted everything out of resin. It looks amazing. Painted it all, it's outstanding. So that's pretty much the biggest thing we've been working on. Finished up the Rebel, like I mentioned. What else did we do? Oh yeah, we finished up the 339. Those videos are done. And
Worked on the straight over there.
no, not really. The PC, no. No Russell tonight. Russell McRussellson, he's nursing a man cold at home. Russell, that's from Katie. She says, I'm sure you're just fine, but your man cold is knocking you down. So if you're on here. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's been a little bit of a low-key past 2 weeks. We're waiting on a lot of shipments right now. We've added some new planes to the build board over there, and it's crazy, the stuff that we have coming in. So starting next week, on Wednesday, we've got 4 planes showing up on Wednesday, 3 that we can talk about. One of them is the special project, which you will never know anything about. And the 3 from Skymaster, we have a F14 XXL showing up next week. We've got a Skymaster F16 1/5 scale showing up next week, and an A10 for Austin showing up next week. Adding to the build list, what did we add this week? We added a Elite Aerosports Razor for David. Congratulations, David. I'm looking forward to that. And that's pretty much it. So, and some other options and quotes we've sent out today. So, if you guys have any questions, comments that you want us to address, sorry, my eyes are tired. Katie's behind the camera. She's got a microphone on, so you'll be able to hear her. And that's the Christmas episode. So let's take a look at the T33 cockpit first. I was going to show you the Rebel, but there's really nothing to see in the Rebel other than like the outside. We'll show you the outside, but it looks really good. It's exactly the same as David's Rebel, the Voodoo Rebel that we built. It's basically the exact same plane with the exception of the scheme on the outside being different. So I think that's it. If you guys have any questions, like I said, comment down below, comment on the video, and we will answer your questions. I'm probably not going to do a whole lot As far as building and stuff goes tonight, it's just going to be more of a question and answer session and a Merry Christmas session. So,
Lionel wants to know, are there any models you want to build but haven't?
yeah, everything up on the board. So, well, let's take a look while we're here. So, Skymaster A10, built those before, but this is a Black Snake coming from Skymaster, so that's cool. Skymaster F14, 1/5 scale. I've never built one. We are. And this is the one that we will be probably putting a Sweewind 400 engine in. We'll touch on that too, what we've been thinking about with that. XL14, that's a brand new one, obviously. SU30, that's the one that's in progress right now. A large F4, looking forward to that one. That's probably coming in February-ish. It's being shipped from Skymaster in January. Super Bandit is on route, well, it's being painted. T33. I mean, these two BVMs aren't planes that I've always been like, oh my gosh, I want to build one, but I'm really enjoying them. Wind RC F22, that one, who knows. Corsair Hangar 9 for Stacy. That one we built, that was probably one of the first builds we did on the channel. I think we'll probably document the second one. The cool thing about this Corsair that we're doing is, and we're actually going to do the engine here pretty quick, but it's a 5 or 7 cylinder glow engine that we're going to be converting to gas. So it's going to be kind of a neat setup initially. We've got a BDX coming for Kyle. We've got an Elite Aerosports Razor coming, so these are both from Elite Aerosports. Jürgen, we've got a project coming. It's a pattern plane that's being built right now. Stacy, who we built an A10 for 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago. That was the A10 that was last on the channel. Well, sort of last on the channel, full build on the channel. We are repainting that early next year in the Black Snake scheme, and that's basically it. BVM Ultra Bandit, that one's at some point in 2024. So a lot of those planes, definitely I've always wanted to build them. Almost everything up there we have not featured on the channel, so those will all be build series, which is crazy. So. What are we coming over here for?
Your Rebel.
Oh yeah, T33. So yeah, Rebel looks good. I love the red color. So like I said, we built this exactly the same as the Voodoo Rebel. So there's a pitot tube right here. We switched the hatch latch to be a BVM, little hidden hatch latch. But everything else is the same. 5.9, well, almost the same actually. My elevator was a little bit different for servo spacing. So I used the regular 5.99 servos on my elevator. So the full size 5.99s. We used the SLs everywhere else, and then the MKS 9930s on the flaps. So, but it's the same thing. Bull. That's actually one thing that 2 weeks ago I was kind of thinking about using the bull bags for the Rebel because the wings are almost the same size. And I started going through all my bull stuff, looking at everything, and like the wings are fine. The vertical and horizontal stabs are fine. So I reached out to Hispano Aviation and I just asked them, like, can you guys, like, are your wing tubes jigged up where you can build me a fuselage and I can just plug my wings and everything in? So they're looking into it, but that's fingers crossed that happens, which would be super cool. I think one of the wing tips we need to do a little bit of a repair on, but all the surfaces are perfect. So I'm excited for that actually, because I really want to, I want the bull back. So 339 is up there. It's done. Yeah, everything's done with it. Well, you guys saw the final video if you watched the channel. So
There's a question.
Yeah.
Are you going to put Crow on the T33?
Yes, probably. From the reading I've been doing, there's a big thread on RC groups that's like 111 pages long. and I think a lot of guys did add crow. Slowing it down, I think, is kind of the hardest thing. I've never flown the little BVM one, but like the air brakes, for example, you put the air brakes down, which we've done, and you're not supposed to land with the air brakes on because it makes the elevator not work as good. So anyways, probably add crow to the T33.
Where's your ugly sweater?
My ugly sweater? Oh, Christmas sweater. I don't have one.
I could have found you one.
I think I did have them, but I threw them away when we moved.
I have one that has lights on it.
Yeah. I don't have any ugly Christmas sweaters right now. Maybe next year. Maybe next year.
And where are you going to store all these flying machines?
I don't know that, actually. Even next Wednesday, when we've got... So the F14 XL, maybe Katie, if you stand right here, this will give some perspective. So, right kind of closer. So this width right here, the regular F14 that we built 2 years ago-ish, or whatever it was, it's wider than the Sukhoi is, than the Su-30 is. So the F14 XL, maybe I'll grab a tape measure. Is so if we even this out, which is, what are we here with us, 34? So the F14 XL is that wide. So 10 inches wider on each side of the fuselage than the Su-30.
Oh my gosh.
And bigger. So it's 2 feet longer than this plane. Doug, and 2 feet longer with the nose and the stinger on. Like, it's going to be mental. Doug, our rep for Jets North for Skymaster, he called me up the other day when the plane was shipped, and he said, just so you're aware, he's like, when I picked mine up, I think he said I brought my enclosed trailer and it wouldn't fit in my plane trailer. So he's like, just be aware of that. Like, you may need a flatbed trailer. And then fortunately the company called me and they are delivering it to our shop here. So I don't have to go pick it up, which is kind of the normal process. So I'm really happy about that because it's a lot of planes. It would take me like 4 trips in my truck. So yeah, so to answer your question, I don't know where we're going to put all the planes because we don't have enough room. So
We'll have to build another shelf.
well, we have 2 shelves up there for little guys. So we can put the Rebels, the 339 is getting shipped out too. So we can put the Rebel up there. Then that opens up like 3 or 4 shelves over there. So we'll make it work.
Yeah, if we have to, we can always build another shelf.
Yeah, but we got a lot of planes coming, which is nuts. Well, we can maybe build another one and put it in front of the door. I don't know. I have no idea. The 400. Let's talk about that before we look at the T33. So the 400, this is going in our special project, but we've been thinking about adding a 400 to the F16 1/5 scale from Skymaster. Now, one of the things to think about, I mean, and most people are never going to have an engine this size, but the black box, this is designed for, and there is actually a test run video coming out of this engine. So that'll be out. I just finished editing this morning. That'll be out probably next week or the week after. But the black box for this engine doesn't use the standard telemetry setup like every other Swewin engine. So this is designed for RS-232, which is like computer based stuff. And I'm just speaking in very simple language. So there's no way to get telemetry data with our normal systems currently in place. So what we did, David, thank you for this. Katie, if you want to come check it out. We got an MUI30 module from Jetty. Now this is a super cool little module. Now generally guys that fly EDFs may add this to the system, and what this is telling you is you've got the small lead here, which is going to be voltage. So if you put this on your flight pack, positive, negative, this is going to tell you the voltage of your flight pack. And the yellow leads, if you put it in and out, so it tells you the little diagram right here, so current in, current out, this tells you amperage. So the point of this is when the system's running and the fuel pump's running, because this is run on the fuel pump lead right now, this is just set up on a demo engine, we've got it plugged into our jetty box. So when we turn this fuel pump on to test run it, it tells us milliamps used and time. So what that converts to is two benefits. The first benefit is you can say, okay, the fuel pump used 30 milliamps to pump 1 liter of fuel. So you can use this in the case of the 400 where you don't have a telemetry option to estimate fuel consumption. The second thing is if that milliamp readout stops, you have flame out detection. So that's one of the benefits of having the telemetry on the turbines that we have, whether it's Swewinds, Ikoi, KingTech, whatever it is you know, if you're at a busy event and there's 5 other guys in the air, you can't hear your plane. So the only way to know that really that you have a flame out, if you don't see the smoke trail, is to have a warning set up on your radio where your RPM goes to 0 or low or whatever, and your radio says flame out, flame out, flame out. So that is what this is really for, is to get that base telemetry data. So if we get that figured out, and when the F-16 arrives, we're going to see how this engine for our special project fits in that F-16, and if it fits well, we're going to be putting one of these huge engines in the F-16. That's going to be fun. Another cool thing we did with 3D printers this past week. So this is a duct from the Super Bandit, the intake duct. I need one for the T33 kit. This is something that was missing from the T33. So whoa, holy mackerel. Well, that's what happens when you don't have fingers. I measured this out and built one as a mold. So what I can do is I can put a form release on this guy, wrap this in fiberglass, and essentially make this piece right here. This was just a little test. That's why I have this together, but if you put this together, you can see this part of the ring fits together. So our dimensions are all correct, basically. That's what that's for. That was kind of cool. Fun reason to have a 3D printer. And cockpit for T33. Oh my gosh. Joe did, and Joe, if you're watching, thank you so much for doing this. So number one, I'm glad Joe did this because I didn't want to do it, but the level of detail he did in here is outstanding. So the only stock piece on this cockpit is the frame and the plastic tub. Everything else, Joe printed, painted, and did up. It is amazing. So everything's done in resin. He did the seats and everything, scale seats, straps, pilots are all done by Joe. The dash panels. So the stock dash panels that came with the kit, they're actually from like an F-18, and the panels are all kind of warped and stuff. So he redid all of these panels, and there's multiple versions of the T33 cockpits out there. So he picked one and used the scale pictures and stuff from it. So we just fit this in before the live started. So it has just been fit. And so this is 2 pieces. So I'll separate this and show you guys how it works. But this front piece here, we actually ended up gluing it in place. And so this is going to stay in the plane. This is removable. But the canopy glass also on the T33 is a little bit different. So what happens is the canopy glass actually gets glued to the cockpit. So basically, when you take this off, this is all going to come off as one piece. So we do have to still, and this isn't the one we're using. We've got a brand new one that's like crystal clear. So it's going to end up looking awesome. And this one's just a rough cut, so it still needs to be cut and shaped and stuff. But we're not using this one, so it doesn't really matter. But that's how it ends up working. And then the frame and everything on here gets painted. So this bottom portion will be painted black, this back portion black, this area, or silver or whatever. this front area will be painted as well too. So this will be part of the cockpit, and the fitting, I think it fit really good when we put it on last time, so it fits amazing. So that is the cockpit. And then the dash panel stays in there, that's glued in place. We were thinking about initially putting blocks of wood in there and having it removable, but it's not really interfering with anything, it doesn't get in the way of anything, so just keeping it in there is good. And let's see how this thing goes back together. So the BVM one uses 6 hooks. Last time we did it blind, right? And it worked out good. When I say blind, I mean I didn't look at both sides. So yeah, fits great. Absolutely awesome. So, and then the way this guy works is you've got your, the way we're going to build this plane is everything's going to be done from the back hatch. So in between flights, you'll pull this hatch off. Everything's fully ducted, but we'll have our fuel valve and air fill valve right here. So this will be the only thing you need to take off in between flights. And this is something else that we've accomplished this week. We've spent a bunch of time on the T-33. And then the hatch holds the cockpit in place because the cockpit can't move backwards when that hatch is in place. So this is what it'll look like essentially. So nice.
That went together really nice.
It did actually.
A demo here.
Yeah, that went together really good. And then we got our front hatch done as well. This one's a little bit tricky because you have a system here to install it. So you've got your bottom hooks, front hooks, top hooks, and your latch that holds everything together. So when you put this on, you're basically kind of rolling it into place. So I put the bottom hooks in first, roll the front guys in place, and the top ones, pull our latch back, and there we go. So not super easy, so I don't want to have our fuel system and stuff accessible through here because this is not as easy to take off as this guy is. So anyways, that's the layout of the T-33, and man, this is the first time I've seen it together with the cockpit, and that looks really good. Love it. Thank you, Joe, again for doing that. That is a masterpiece. Beautiful. So nice.
When you look at the inside there, you can see all the
the little details and gauges, and yeah, a little bit of weathering on the seats. Like, oh man, looks so nice, so cool. So, anyways, questions, Katie?
Gerald, hi from Plainfield, Illinois. I have a question. Is Ward an employee or just one of those friends who never goes home?
Yeah.
He likes to come hang. So Ward hangs out on Saturday. He comes and hangs out at the shop, helps a ton. He's not an employee. We just like to hang out together, and he likes to learn. And he's in his apprenticeship right now, if you want to put it that way. Is that appropriate?
Yeah, that'd be appropriate. Learning to fly.
Yeah. He doesn't get to do much because I'm pretty very, very selective on what I will allow people to touch or do. But yeah, so.
Craig says, what would you suggest for a new build? Should I start with either one, a Black Horse balsa ARF designed for an EDF, but I want to put a turbine in it, or two, have a Krill Avanti, I have engines for both?
Both good options. The Avanti's probably, if it's already built, it's probably going to be easier. I would do that one first myself. That's my suggestion. Both good options, though.
Keep it simple, don't overwhelm yourself.
I mean, if you've got engines for both, I mean, whatever. Do them both.
Nick says, Ward, you're looking fabulous.
Aw. You must have got a haircut.
Yeah, I did.
Can't wait to see the F14 XL.
Oh, man.
Nick says, so 500 foot of wiring?
Probably, yeah. Well, this one, so we haven't done the leads going back to the engine modules yet. So we're at 250-ish feet. So we're probably going to finish this plane at 260 62 feet of wire, of servo wire. F14 XL, I don't know.
Liar Mikey says, my Christmas is canceled this year for me. My family is stuck in North Carolina since November with car issues. So Christmas is just an MO day for me. Really depressed. Oh,
That stinks.
well, glad you're on here.
Yeah, exactly.
Russell says, glad now I don't have my Rebel taking up space.
What?
You could have it here. You probably have it work finished done by now.
Come on, Russell. I finished my Rebel in 2.5 days. Yours would be done by now. Oh, we did get new tubes for the Rebels too. Let's show that.
Floyd says, oh my gosh, I'm looking at the Skymaster F14 XXL on the website. The thing is huge.
Yeah. Especially when you see the picture of like Anton like holding it on its end. I think there's a picture of that. Mental. Mental. So we ordered some tubes from RJX. I think it's RJX Hobby. I don't think it's RJX Carbon, but they do carbon work. So this is the this is the stock tube for a Rebel. There's really nothing wrong with it, except if you fly the plane really hard. There is guys that have bent this tube. You shouldn't be flying the plane that hard to bend this tube. So speed and pulling high G's, because the plane is not designed for that. But we got a replacement carbon tube. So the tubes are, I think, 990 millimeters long. Our wall thickness, though, I got them to send us 2 millimeter carbon wall thickness, which is thicker than the stock tube. And this thing is basically indestructible. So absolutely mental. So the tube thickness is about double the thickness, or maybe 70% thicker, but the weight is identical. So, well, a couple grams lighter, but super cool. Nice addition. So we got one for the Voodoo Rebel and one for mine as well. So.
And if you're gonna pull those kind of G's, it won't break.
No, it won't break. Something else will break first.
Kelly says, Crow, yes, for the T-33. Speed brakes work awesome, very effective on landing.
So Kelly, have you ever, when you flew the T-33, did you ever use them for the full landing? Or were you just using them in the final turns? Because what I've read is guys like use them on your downwind leg and then turning to final, and then just before landing, pulling the speed brakes up. But I don't know. It doesn't seem to me like, it seems to me like you just leave them down the whole time. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
Kenneth wants to know what wire you use for the servo leads and connectors you use.
So I use wiring wise, I basically use power box wire for pretty much everything. The most wire I have is the maxi wire. The maxi wire is, the red and the blue is thicker than the white. So the white is your signal connector, right? So that's the maxi wire. This is the standard power box wire. So all three of the leads are identical. They're all the smaller size. So something like my Rebel, I use the regular wire on. The Voodoo Rebel, I use the regular wire on because like a small plane doesn't need the maxi wire. But this is all I have left of the regular power box wire. So the maxi wire, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a little bit heavier. But the maxi wire pretty much gets used for everything around here. I do have this wire, which is from Thunderbolt RC in Canada. So this is aviation wire. So when guys see this, they look at it and think it's the heavy silicone wire, but it's not. The sheathing is very, very thin. So I don't know if it'll show up, but you can actually see the strands of wire in there. And there's an end shot there for you. So it's actually pretty thin, but it's very, very heat resistant. So that's kind of what I use. So on the SU-30 as an example, I used this wire here to go between the two central boxes. Everywhere else we use maxi wire. And then the other wire I will use sometimes is, a lot of guys have asked me about this. So we've got two different wires here. We've got the Swewin wire. So this is a spool of the wire that Swewin uses to go in between the turbine and the ECU or the fuel pump. So it's a little bit heavier gauge, but this is, I don't know how many, I think it's 1,000 feet of this stuff. And then the other wire that I'll use, this is available on Amazon. So this is the same layout, but thinner gauge. So this is 22 gauge. The Swewin stuff here is, I think, 14 gauge, maybe 16 gauge. But I'll use this stuff for like servo leads going past the turbine as an example. If it gets close to the turbine. This is insanely heat resistant. So you can hold a lighter underneath this and nothing happens to it. So that's pretty much the options that I use for wiring. Connector wise, so I will use, for all my servo leads, I'm using power box connectors. I'll show you what the packages look like. So this is the power box connectors. I get them in packs of 50. So this is the female version, which I call the male version. And then you can also get the male version, which I call the female version, which comes with the little pins. But they all use the same layout. So when you want to make a female connector, you're making the same male connector. You're adding this guy in and then that guy in. So that's what I use for all my servo leads. And then my wing connectors, I pretty much exclusively use ash lock connectors. So they come in a 3, 6, 9, or 12 pin connection, so they're locking and they work amazing. I prefer to have my connectors floating. I know some guys will build the connectors where you're firm mounted here, firm mounted on the wing, and when you put those pieces together, they connect automatically. I don't like that because your wing is always flexing, and you can get, in my opinion, some movement there between your pins and the receivers. So if you're going to firm mount one side, don't firm mount the other side, or do it like that way where they're free floating. How you doing, Katie?
Oh, doing good. Nick wants to know if the pilots are going to move on the...
Oh, the T-33, no. The T-33 is very... the problem with a plane that size is you really have to be conscious about weight. So when Joe did the pilots, he did them very, very thin-walled, so they're not heavy. But the pilots the whole cockpit's very light. So you have to always be thinking about weight with something that size, because you can't start adding smoke system and stuff, because number one, there's no room. And number two, the wing loading on a plane that size is fairly high compared to something like an Su-30, where you have so much more space and size. So
Kelly says, crow yes for the T-33. Speed brakes work awesome. Very effective on landing.
cool.
And then to go with that.
Thanks, Kelly.
Yes, never had an issue with full speed brakes all the way on landing pattern. I dropped them on downwind and left them down. Said I could barely land without them.
Yeah.
Would not slow down.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird plane because it looks like it's so restrictive in the air because there's so much stuff like the tip tanks, but it's a pretty smooth plane. It's also fully ducted too, fully bypassed. So
Edgardo wants to know which turbine will be installed in the T-33.
the T-33 is going to get a Zykoy X95 turbine. Also, my Rabel is getting a Zykoy 132, the same as the Voodoo Rebel. So. Oh, and trusty bent screwdrivers. We're almost out of trusties. If you haven't bought yours yet or you want one, make sure you get it, because I think there's maybe 15 left. And once they're gone, they're gone. So
Nick says, "Where's Luna with her hat?"
yeah, Ward called it.
All right.
Nez, where's Nez?
Yeah, Nez is in the chair sleeping,
Nez is in her chair.
doing her normal thing.
Nezzy. Aw.
Don't disturb her. She's having a rough day.
Yeah, it's not
Kenneth
11 o'clock yet.
says, "Everything I have is nitro or gas."
Well, you better work on that and get yourself some turbines. Or turbines if you're in the US.
Kelly says, "Love his trusty."
Nice. Oh, RC Air Experience, our podcast channel. I'm going to sit down. So RC Air Experience, Anthony just, my partner in that, Anthony, just dropped 2 videos today. The first podcast is with Jenny and Greg Alderman from Jag RC and Heli Direct and Boomerang. And the second one, which is episode 6, that is with Chris from Cavu Customs. So he does a lot of custom work on large planes and works on big cool stuff. So we had a chat with Chris as well, and that was a nice visit with him. So had some good conversation. So check that out if you're interested, because it's it was both great podcasts. So Nezzy, hi buddy.
Joe says, "Dang, I forgot to get one when I was there."
Oh yeah.
We'll
I was
put one
thinking
aside
about that
for you.
too. Yes, Joe, I'll set one aside for you. Why are you so dirty, buddy?
Now you have to think of something else.
What?
You've got the trusty bent screwdriver.
I got a whole year. We'll do it as a December thing every year.
Yeah, but so we have to find something else.
Yeah.
We've got Rene Gautier. I probably did not pronounce that name. Well, it's a screen name. Jets are so much easier than putting a turbine in a helicopter. But I use a lot of your tips and tricks when building. Merry Christmas from Oklahoma.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. Merry Christmas to you as well. Hi, Nezzy.
Lionel says, "What is the link for Trusty?" It's on the lighter side of RC.
Yeah, if you go to my website, so thelightersideofrc.com, you go into the shop. I actually put it at the very top of the shop, so it's like buy your own Trusty, and there's a picture there. So yeah, I think I'm going to go count how many are left actually, because there's not very many.
Brian says, "Jonathan, thank you for the pictures of the jet rack. I built one this week from my 3 jets. It works awesome."
Nice.
Put the right amount of wheels on it, you can just wheel it into the back of your trailer.
Chad and Russell said they both need Trusties too.
Well, I've got 27 sitting there, so
Nez, excuse me.
yeah, you woke her up. That's the problem. You got to just leave her be. Then she wakes up at like 10:30, 11 o'clock, and she wants to be all over you. Hi, buddy. Hi.
And we still have that for sale.
Yeah. Well, now she's purring in the microphone. F-18 still for sale.
We need to put "for sale" on the bottom there.
Be a great Christmas gift.
Still
to
for
somebody.
sale.
Still for sale. Can't climb on me, bud.
Talk to your wives and say, "Great Christmas present."
What else? It's going to be crazy. January and February here at the lighter side of RC are going to be nuts. It's going to be awesome. Love it. So cool. So cool. I never would have thought 2 years ago. So we moved into our new home 2 years ago in December. It was like December 15th or 18th or something like that. I never would have thought we would be where we are today, having the projects we have in the queue today, with Nez hairs all over me. Yeah, thank you to everybody that watches and supports the channel and gets me to build stuff for them. And
It's a big change from the garage.
Yeah,
Right.
couldn't do this
Two of us couldn't move around
in the
there at
first
all.
location. No. But you got to start
Yeah,
somewhere,
gotta
right?
start
That's the
somewhere.
thing is you got to start somewhere.
Joe says, at least Nez isn't stealing parts right now.
Oh yeah.
Maybe
Oh
you should
yeah.
tell them that story.
Oh my gosh. So this past week, she's been nuts. So I was sitting on a phone call over in the chair there, and Nez is rummaging around the parts bins over around the corner, because I have all my 3D parts that are listed on the website all in bins, separated. And she comes running over with a Festo valve holder in her mouth, drops it at my feet, and runs off. So she thinks she's hunting. And then earlier this week, I think it was this week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, earlier this week, I left for work, and Katie sends me a picture later, because Nez was in the shop here, and she sends me a picture later. There's like a UAT holder sitting by my one shoe. Inside the house, there's another item sitting in front of my other shoe. Up in the cat house upstairs in the house,
Second story.
second story, there was like 6 things sitting in the cat house. Underneath a pillow on the main floor on the couch, there was another Festo valve holder hidden underneath the couch, the pillow.
Really?
Yeah.
She really likes those holders.
She was just going in and out and in and out.
You're going to be under arrest. Going to cuff you.
Got a new camera as well. That showed up this week. So the not the next video on the T33, but the video after that will be new camera footage. So that'll be interesting. It's always interesting learning a new camera and getting used to the new camera, but just in time for the new unboxings coming. So we've gone back to a gimbal camera. It's the new DJI Osmo Pocket 3, which is nice, more user-friendly than my original Osmo Pocket that I had. So looking forward to getting more familiar with that.
Edgardo says, any idea when you expect to work in the power installation of your T33?
There's still a lot to do. So as far as the process goes, the next thing to do in the manual is the intake diverters, whatever you call those, the little plates that go on the intake. And then I think after that, we start moving into the wings. The wings are going to be a ton of work. Tip tanks on the wings. Tail surfaces after the wings. Once those are all done, they get fiberglassed. Then the tail section gets mounted together, and then it gets mounted to the plane. And then we have to do our installation of our leads to the back, like servo wires and stuff. So that's the gist of what's left. There's a lot to do.
Weeks.
Yeah, like I'm supposed to be done the T33 by the middle of March when we go down to Tucson Jets, middle of March. But I don't think, with all the projects in the queue, I don't think it's realistic to have it ready. So it's probably going to be ready for Montana Jets is when it's more realistic to have it ready. Because if I didn't have all those projects in the queue, then it's more realistic. But yeah, there's too much on the go. So to answer your question, probably March-ish is when I'll start doing the installation, which will be after painting. So it's going to be around there. So.
Brian says, I'm so glad that you have these shows for us to learn and enjoy.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I love hearing your guys' comments as well too, getting the emails and stuff. It's awesome.
And some tricks too.
Nick
Yeah.
says, so when is the new model shed starting?
Ugh. It couldn't come soon enough, man. But yeah,
we have
it's
the space.
huh?
We have the space.
We have the space. We just don't have the dineros, basically. So that's the downside.
Joe says, thanks to everyone that's been purchasing parts from Jonathan and RC Custom 3D Printing to use in their products.
Absolutely. Oh,
Projects.
Thanks, Joe. That made me think of something. Katie, you can just wait there. I'll grab it and be back.
Plugged himself.
So the other reason for Joe's visit today was to drop off my order of parts. So at some point in the next week, we'll probably get these uploaded to the website. Yeah, Nez is already scoping them out. So we've got the new glue-in XT60 holders. So these are the same purpose as the ones that we already have, but those ones on the website, they screw in place, or they're a little bit bigger dimensions. You could glue them in place. These guys, they're designed to glue in place. So they're a little bit smaller, a little bit tighter, and there's flat mounted and angled mounted. So and they're actually super cool because you basically drill 2 rounded holes, take an X-Acto knife, cut out the in between the rounded holes, and these slip right in. So these are the ones we used in the 339 final video where we did the mounts for the plugs. So those will be coming on the website soon. We've got some servo mounts, some wood servo mounts. So there's 3 different sizes, so micro servo, mini servo, and standard servo. So those will be on the website as well. And then we've got some other goodies. Battery holders. If you guys didn't see the 339 video, this turned out so good in that 339. So I painted them gray with primer, and then I took some sparkly orange, which is leftover paint from my aviation design diamond, gave it a really light coating, and all of the gray that was in the writing and the little engraving and stuff stayed kind of a gray color, and the rest was orange. It looks really good. So there's battery holders. Those are nice, and they just have Velcro that goes underneath them. So those are the battery holders. And then we've got UAT mounts, obviously different style. The wood ones, they're a little bit lighter than the standard 3D printed ones that we have. And here's an example of the UAT mount right there. So super cool. So we'll be adding that stuff to the website. Nice little parts to help with your building needs.
Nick says, do the tip tanks have tubes spare?
Spar tubes? Yeah, the tip tanks for the T33, they've got 2 carbon tubes. There's a whole kit that goes with the tip tank. So it's basically got 2 carbon tubes that go in the wing tips. There's a little tab, like a G10 tab on the underside. So the tip tanks are removable with 1 screw. I don't know yet if Revit makes wing bags for them, so I'll have to see. But that's kind of the type of aircraft where I would like to get a Revit wing bag set for them because they're pretty delicate. The plane itself is probably going to be transported, well, it can be transported on the gear, but it really, obviously the tail stays on and the whole tail section stays on, but the wings come off super simple. So. And the nice thing with the wings on that plane is there's 1 servo connection, and that's it. Because your flaps are operated inboard on the fuselage, you've got your aileron surface, and then if you put lights on it, then you'd have another servo connection, but that's it. One connection, 1 screw holding everything together. So.
Russell says you need a 40 to 53 foot used sea can for storage.
Yes, that would be a good first step. There's lots of room out there for that.
Nick says, so what size is the shed going to be? Don't forget the kitchen bunk area.
Yeah. So initially, when we first moved here, I had my initial plans and the way things were paced out was, and I was thinking about affordability. So if you get a standard garage package and double it, the biggest size that we can get locally with standard trusses would be 26 by 52. So that'd be taking two garages and putting them together. But 26 by 52 is not big enough. So this space right here is 24 by 46. So it really would be hardly any bigger than what we currently have. We need more space both directions. An office space like with upstairs would be awesome. So yeah, my vision and dream has grown substantially.
To a hangar, a miniature hangar.
Sort of, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll pole it. I'll make it a pole shed. Post in the ground and you build the walls
Yeah,
in
I know
between.
it is, yeah.
And tornado comes, everything else will be gone but that building.
Yeah.
It'll stay there.
So yeah, we'll see. I don't
And easy to grow too.
I don't know what the size is going to be yet. Basically, the biggest we can fit in the space that we have.
120 by 300.
Yeah, I mean, realistically,
like
in
a
my
Quonset.
mind, 40 by 60 would be pretty cool. I think if you get a second level in part of it, that would be ideal. 40 by 60 would be awesome.
You could build like a mezzanine where you can just
Yeah,
go up
yeah,
and-
exactly. That's what I mean. So 40 would be almost this length, and then obviously 60 this way, right?
holy.
Yeah, yeah, which is great. I mean, the plan for the new space is having a full paint booth built in it. We've got the exhaust system already from our electrician. Just having more tool space, like where you have a standalone area for tools where you're not kind of all mixed in different spots of the shop. Better dedicated aircraft storage.
Balancing.
Yeah, balancer for turbines. There's a lot of big plans that we have. It's just we're kind of maxed out where we are right now. So making use of every little bit of space.
But I'd use
Hi,
a pole
Nezzy.
shed, then you can make it grow at the
Hi,
same
buddy.
time.
Kenneth says Nez got to have a cushion to sit on.
Yeah.
Don't even think about jumping up on me.
Oh, she is. That's what she does. She's like, I can make it
She's
up on
like,
your
I
shoulder.
can jump. I can jump.
Come here, buddy.
Um,
Come here.
Nick says those plugins are a great idea. And then Nez giving them the eye. Where can I hide those in the house?
Yeah, exactly.
Lionel says, I just picked up a trusty.
Nice. Yeah, if you order anything and I don't happen to have it in stock, let's blame it on Nez because my inventory is probably already out. I'm sure there's stuff hidden somewhere else. She's coming.
Jagman says, seems like you like Zycoy. Are you going to be a Canadian Zycoy dealer? LOL.
If you live in Canada and you need a Zycoy turbine, let me know. Put it that way. So we'll just leave it at that. I do like Zycoy turbines. I love Sweden turbines because they're affordable, they work really well, they're kind of workhorses, but there are scenarios where I like a Zycoy turbine better. So that scenario is the T33 is a great example. Sweden doesn't have a great engine in that 100 Newton size. So if they took an 80 and up-tuned it or did whatever to make it 100 Newton output or 95 or whatever, that would be awesome. So Zycoy has that X95 where it's like the size of the 80 but just a little bit more power. That plane would probably fly fine with an 80, but we're at elevation and I always have to think about that. So that's something that Sweden doesn't have. And something like with my Rebel or this Rebel here, having the option of a really light 132 Newton engine is exciting. The Sweden 140 is a great option, but I just wanted to build an exact match to that plane right there. I wouldn't have a problem putting a Sweden 140 in my my Rebel as well too. Both great engines. So
Brian says, a few of us were planning a few Christmas Day flights. but now I have the flu, so no snow here yet in the
Oh,
Maritimes.
bugger. And we were pretty brown up until last night.
And
like
all of a
three,
sudden we woke up to snow.
yeah, 3 in the morning it started snowing pretty hard. And we got quite a bit of snow last night, so.
Doug says, how do you align the mains on a jet, and do you use any toe or just run them straight?
No, you always have a degree or two of toe in. Yeah, I mean, you can do it a couple ways. The common way that I would do it I'll show you on the T33 how I did it actually. Can you grab one of the clamps on the end of the toolbox? As you poo, kind of in the way, bud. So, first thing to figure out is the root of your wing to fuselage joint parallel with the center line of the fuselage. So on some aircraft, generally bigger ones, you could take a square, insert it in the wing tube, hold it flush to the edge of the wing tube, and then you can see if that is out or not, because there'll be a bit of an angle. Because this airplane uses such small wing tubes, what I did, and I did all this before I did the gear doors. The gear doors are done as well too, so that'll be the next video. So I took this, my clamp, went to the, went to the back of the fuselage here, got it tight, then you go to the front and doesn't fit. It's not much, like we're like 4 millimeters maybe. 4 millimeters wider at the nose. So then what I did was, I think I still have marks right here. Yeah, I do. So I went 2 millimeters shy on my mark here and went to the distance in. So basically if we measure this, we're 62 and we are 60. So then what I did is I took a piece of tape and laid it across here in between my 2 Sharpie marks. And then what you do, if you pass me a carbon rod from in there, take a carbon rod, so you imagine your tape's on here, right, in between those 2 marks. And then you hold your carbon rod across your wheel, and I can actually see this just with my 2 marks. I don't even really need the tape, but so I can see this right now. If I look at this wheel, if I line up the front of the carbon rod on my mark, and the space between the carbon rod and the back is about 4 millimeters. So I've got 4 millimeters of space here, level there. So there's just a little bit of toe in on my mains. That was critical to get set up before I mount the gear door, because this gear door mounts on the strut and that lines up everything else. So yes, to answer your question, you always want to have a little bit of toe in on your mains. In a situation like this, a couple millimeters is awesome. You know, you're looking for a couple degrees basically is all you need. It doesn't have to be much. If you put too much and you're flying on asphalt, your wheels are running sideways on the asphalt and you'll actually wear your tires out really quickly, like within a couple flights if you do too much toe in. So.
Nick says, don't forget the winter tunnel, so won't need to go outside.
Yeah, exactly. The breezeway.
Yeah. Pods for Ward and Russell a must.
Yeah.
Eric says, Zykoy, yes please. Chad says, I need one for my Elan.
No problem.
Kelly says, that paper grid that was laminated is perfect and easy to set gear and toe. Just square it up to the lines.
You betcha.
Jagman says, have you seen Rami RC on YouTube?
Yes.
He builds composite jets from scratch, 3D printed mold, etc. Really cool stuff. Would you ever take on a project like that for channel content?
Yeah, I do love watching Rami's stuff. Obviously, you know, he's got close to 1 million subscribers. He does things way different than we do, but his stuff's pretty cool. I give him props. It's pretty awesome to watch him do what he does, especially with some of his newer projects. I would love to take on something like that. I don't know if we would necessarily have the time. We'd have to set aside quite a big section of time, which isn't a problem. But like if I had somebody contact me and say, let's do it, it wouldn't happen in the next 5 months because there's too much going on, too many builds in the queue. So yes, I would consider doing something like that for channel content. The other thing that we may have coming is there's a fellow down in the northwestern part of the US, and he's been working on a airliner kit for a long time. And he's got a YouTube channel and social media and stuff. He's just in the final production stages of that kit. And we have talked over the past year about doing a joint venture somehow, or getting one of those kits and building it on the channel. So there is things in the works. Sometimes it just takes time to get it all ironed out. So
Kelly says, set the plane on the grid, gear down, and you can see how they are lined up.
oh yeah, that's a good idea, Kelly. I have Kelly's grid over here. Yeah, that's actually a really great idea. So Kelly made me this grid. It's a centimeter grid. So I got him to make it 3 feet by 6 feet, so it fits on all my build tables, because that's my build table size. But we've got a center line here, so you could basically line the plane up on the grid, hold the rod up to the wheel, and that'll tell you degrees as well too. So lots of different ways to do it.
That you almost have to lay that down on a table by itself.
Yes, I just don't want to damage it. That's
Yeah,
the
I
thing.
was gonna say, you have to almost have a table by yourself that you put up. You have one of the folding tables and glue it to there. And then
If we had a 40 by 60 shop,
yes, you betcha, no problem.
lots of room.
Nick says it will stop scuffing if you set up properly.
Yeah.
Kelly says they don't have any snow in Kalispell.
What? Yeah, we've had snow for quite a while now. And we just got a bunch last night, so
It'll be a white Christmas.
it will.
Mistel7, hello, just got back from a pre-Christmas lunch with friends. Rabel looks good. Color scheme is stunning.
Thank you.
Russell said we just got snow this morning.
Yes, we did, Russell.
Justin says 3 a.m. in the UK, but worth waking.
Oh my gosh, thank you for joining. Dedicated. Oh yeah. I was going to extend the nose gear, but I can't. So yeah, we got a bunch done on this guy as well too. So the air brakes are painted black, intakes are now installed. I'll show you guys that stuff as well.
Greg says, just joined on. Merry Christmas to you all from Greg, this NS rocket guy in Nova Scotia.
Thank you.
Looking forward to what you have in store for 2024.
Man, the projects are bonkers. Lots of fun stuff coming.
Do you have any plans to do a build video on a car Rebel Pro or Max? That's from Michael.
I wouldn't mind owning a Rebel Pro. The Max for me is too big, I think. I don't have any Pros or Maxes in the queue for anybody, but very nice airplane. I wouldn't mind putting one together as well. I wouldn't mind owning a Rebel Pro. They're awesome.
Keith says, no snow in Camrose.
Yeah, so Joe lives about an hour north of me. So he drove here today, and it wasn't till like the edge of the city where snow started. So it was basically dry until the edge of the city for half the drive. So
He said drive this morning was nuts.
yeah.
Yeah, we went out to get some shopping done and it was crazy out there.
So here's the intakes.
Nick says, surprised Nez didn't enter the rear end there.
So intakes, we painted them red before we installed them. So wrapped them in carbon tow, painted them red, got them installed. Looks really good.
We're gonna send Kelly some snow
Yeah, you
for
can have
Boxing
it.
Day.
No, we don't want any more.
Well, everybody was talking about a white Christmas and complaining, so here you go.
You got it. There you go.
Nick says the Rebel Max is a logistical nightmare.
Yeah, it's huge. It really is.
How big is it? That's in
Well,
feet.
so Russell had the Rebel Pro. The Rebel Pro is essentially the same size as the Kinetics.
Okay.
The Rebel Max is like 3 feet longer. Like it's just obscene how big it is. So
Does it go fast?
it's obtuse. No,
No?
no, it's a slow plane. It's not designed to be fast. It's an aero. It's just for accurate aerobatics, right? So yeah,
And Justin in the UK said, you're worth waking up to watch because it's 3 a.m. there, right?
yeah.
Have a great Christmas and thanks very much for all the info and tips you provide. I'm always excited to see what the next build is.
Thank you.
We're both in the UK, is he?
Where in the UK are you, Justin? Russell says, oh wait. Michael says, do you think a Rebel Pro would be a good first turbine?
Yeah, I would. If you're looking for a good first one and that's kind of the shape that you want, I would suggest maybe getting the Classic. The thing about getting the Classic size is it's going to be less to put it together. So like, I don't know what the Rebel Classic comes out to be, but like I got mine on the Boxing Day sale and I think it was like 3,400 is what it was listed for with gear. That's the ARF Plus package. You know, you put an engine in it, you do everything. So maybe you're like, I don't know, $9,000, something like that. The Rebel Pro, you're probably what, about 5,000-6,000 for the kit. Then you need a bigger engine. Your servo layout's similar as far as what you need. Electronics is pretty much similar. So you're going to be adding a couple $1,000s in just bigger size plane. The little Rebel flies just as good as the Rebel Pro. Either one is going to be awesome. I would generally say go with the Rebel Classic size because it's going to be cheaper to fly, easier to transport. If you pack it in, it's cheaper to replace. And both good options though. The Rebel Pro, because it's a bigger plane, is going to fly easier. It lands slower as well, so you really have to get used to that, which some people have a hard time doing. So there's some considerations.
Russell says, got stuff for a new Rebel Pro if you're game.
There you go.
If you are game, you.
Oh, you need the actual plane first.
Nick says, the one I saw was in a 25-foot trailer.
The Rebel Max, yeah.
Brian,
Yes,
is
hey.
the Hangar 9 jet worth it?
It's okay. The Hangar 9, it's a nice all-around kit. You know, for somebody looking for a fun turbine to fly, or a good first turbine, the Hangar 9 kit is really nice. You know, there's some of the things I don't like about it. It's wood, right? So, you know, even a company like Boomerang, if you watch our interview, our podcast with Jenny and Greg Alderman, All of the Boomerang lineup is now moving towards composite, except they're two basic airplanes, like the Turbinator and one of the other ones. So like the new Ranger is going to be full composite. Everything's full composite. So the 339 is nice, but it's a wood plane. So that's the only downside. Overall, it's pretty affordable to put together. You know, you're going to be quite a bit cheaper than like a Rebel Classic, as an example. You know, that kit I think in the U.S. runs for like $1,600. That includes gear, tank, pipe. You know, you're basically double if you want to get a Rebel Classic. So, but very different planes, right? So is it worth it? For the right person, yes, I think it's great. The owner of that, Kyle, and his son are going to love it. It's going to get tons of stick time. It's going to fly great. It's going to take off and land amazing. So for the right person, it's a great plane.
William says, Merry Christmas to you and your family. And Ward, it'll be brown Christmas here in Edmonton. Thanks for all your help this year, Jonathan.
Thanks, Bill. You bet. Hopefully your Ranger's going together well. Hi, buddy.
Kelly says we need to come down and have famous Dave's.
Agreed. I think I'm trying to decide, Kelly, whether I'm going to stop at your place on the way down to Arizona or if I'm just going to drive through, but I'll probably stop and visit you.
You gotta stop. Tracy says ditto about the brown Christmas.
Yeah.
Greg says, how about a mic for Ward in the new year?
No. Ward's got a potty mouth.
Yeah, I do.
Russell says, gotta order one 6 months just in time for July.
Yeah, you need it sooner than that, man.
What if he's gonna build it?
Oh yeah, if you're going to build it, Russell, you need it like 6 months ago.
How's that Rebel coming, Russell?
Ouch.
Zing!
Katie's throwing it down.
The mic has been dropped. Boo!
Kelly says, please stop.
I
You
will,
gotta
Kelly.
stop. Yes, for sure. Doug says, what fuel line sizing guidelines do you use for the different turbine classes?
Ooh, good question. So 45 up to 80. I will generally use, I'll pretty much always use 6 mil on the intake size, but 4 mil is okay for a 45 to an 80 size turbine. Above that, the feed line should be 6 mil up to a 190 size. Anything over 190 size, using 8 millimeter fuel line up to like 400, for example, we're using 8 mil. So basically, yeah, 45 to 80 is number one. 80 to 190, 6 mil. 200 series and above, 8 mil.
Jagman wants to know, do you know if Sweden is going to come out with a 45 Newton size engine? Good competition for the Zykoy 45.
Yeah, probably not. Yes. She like, her hair is so fine that like when you touch her, she rubs against you, it's like
Sticks to
fuzz
everything.
and it sticks to my beard.
Brian says, it's a Nez night tonight, needing
Yeah.
to be center of attention.
Swewens, they were trying to do a 45 40 series engine. Problem is that it's just as much R&D as their other engines, and I don't think they were having very much success with it. That's just my opinion. That's not directly from the factory, and I don't think it's a go anymore. So
Russell says, got space for me as I come though?
make space, buddy.
Nick says, how long does it take to drive to Arizona from where we are?
Exactly 24 hours. So it's
Jonathan's like,
basically
"Do you wanna
two
come?"
12-hour
No.
days. Yeah,
No,
Katie does
I
not want to
hate
drive
driving.
that long. So.
I'll fly and meet you there.
Yeah, it's a long drive, and it's like when I looked it up the other day, I was like, it's right on the border of Mexico. It's a far drive. So the plan is, I mean, this is just tentative right now. I'm thinking about leaving a Friday morning. I think that might be like March 10th. I'm just guessing. Whatever the Friday is in that first couple weeks of March. Leaving on the Friday, driving all day Friday, driving all day Saturday, maybe getting in Sunday afternoon, staying there Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, driving back Sunday, Monday. So I'll be there for 5 days kind of thing is what I'm thinking about. So it'll be a nice trip. And I'm not pulling a trailer, which is even better. So whatever we fit in the Armada, that's all I'm taking.
Katie will fly in, have fun, and then leave.
She won't fly. She's too busy.
Yeah. Tracy says, what's your favorite go fast jet?
Oh,
2 meter-ish.
favorite go fast jet? There are some that I haven't flown. Hey, Lionel Randall ordered a trusty bent screwdriver. Congratulations, Lionel, if you're watching. Sorry, I need some water. Favorite go fast jet? There are some that I haven't flown, so the ones that I've flown, a Carf Ultra Flash, but they don't make the good one anymore. It's the whatever the new model is called. I can't remember what it's called. Slips my mind.
Wasn't the Diamond?
The Diamond's not fast, no. The Super Bandit is going to be nuts. The Ultimatum, that thing is insane. So yeah, there's a lot of cool fast planes. If I was to buy one right now, it'd probably be an Ultimatum 2.0 2-meter plane. Seeing when I was in California, seeing Coco fly that plane, like Katie was standing on the flight line.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And Coco was having fun when we were standing on the flight line, and it was bananas.
The jet's coming in, and I'm like,
Katie jumped
ducking.
back. Yeah, the Ultimatum's awesome. And the Ultimatum, the thing about it is it's built light, but it is so strong. Like there's videos of guys pulling 18 Gs at full throttle on that plane, and it is absolutely soaking it up. So I think the video I have on my channel from Coco flying in California, he wasn't pushing it that flight. That was mild, so.
Probably because I was screaming in the background. Ah!
That was flight number 1, so you weren't there yet. You were shopping.
I was shopping, of course. It's California. Nick says F14 size will be whatever needs size-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Russell says yes, 30 from Mexico. Nick says so Australia distances then.
Yeah.
Jagman says Evo.
Oh yeah, the Carf Ultra Flash Evo. Yeah. Evo's the new model, and they're okay. They're not the same as the old ones though.
Keith says you'll have to try a pulse jet. Looks crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when the 14 arrives, we need to find a new home for the SU because I'm really missing being able to use that stand. So I'm thinking that we'll maybe put the SU. Yeah, this is what Nez does at nighttime. She crawls into my apron.
She's trying to crawl into my pocket, my hoodie pocket.
I think what we'll do is we may put the SU over there.
Yeah.
Because I need that stand for the 14. So.
I'll say when it's coming, give me a call.
Yeah.
We'll start doing some rearranging.
Nez, you're not going to fit,
Nick,
buddy.
it's just a pocket. It's not like.
Thinks it's the hoodie's a pullover pocket.
Here, you need
If
to
it
switch.
was like all the way through.
That's what she does. Have I seen the new Pilot Matrix? Yes. I think it's a cool looking plane. Hey, nice hoodie. Wow, where'd you get that? Oh, must have got it from the lighter side of RC. Nice.
It's cold in here, so I'm wearing a hoodie over my hoodie.
Yeah, it's only 19 degrees. It's only 68 degrees in here.
Oh no.
What was the question? You got to pull up the question. I forget what it was.
What? Have you seen the new Pilot Matrix?
Yes, Pilot Matrix. Yeah, I've seen that. It's actually a really nice looking plane. I've never owned or really been around a pilot aircraft before, so I don't know about the inside of it, but Looks cool from the outside. I think I like the lines. I wouldn't be disappointed to own one as well.
He says dynamic.
Yeah, dynamic
Soaring
soaring, like it's insanely fast.
Talk about go fast.
Yeah. It's like guys get going and they're just like crazy, crazy how fast it is.
Tracy says, I saw him fly it as well. Crazy. Nick says, EDF holds speed record well over 500 miles per hour. Guy had Evo real hard to keep track of.
Yeah.
That'd be nuts.
Yeah, when you're going that fast, even 300 miles an hour it's bonkers, right? Everything happens real quick. You're really light on the sticks, so.
I think you put one of those, what were we talking about putting in the, what's that?
FPV?
VR fit thing?
FPV. Have to make sure you sit down for that.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be cool.
Yeah, until you get motion sick.
Yeah. But then I can take it off.
Yeah, but then you'll be like, oh my
I'm
gosh.
feeling the G's.
Yeah.
Or people falling all over the place because they're standing there watching it.
Yeah.
Well, the one time I tried it, it was with Chad. Chad had his drone with the FPV thing on, so he was just flying it normally. But I had the goggles on, and I think I was sitting down. Even sitting down, I was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Actually, I didn't have a problem with it. I tried the same day.
Yeah.
I want to get the controller because I'll have more fun. But.
Yeah.
He says I'm looking great in my hoodie.
Yes,
Thank
you are.
you.
It's actually my hoodie. You're looking
Jonathan's
great
hoodie.
in my hoodie.
Yep.
And they are available, aren't they?
No, they're not available.
Oh,
Hassel, any good American Sweewin dealers? Bad Boy or CRX good? Heard some things.
Yeah, if I was to point you in a direction, we ship to the US, no problem. But I actually sell a lot of engines down to the US or to airplanes. Bad Boys would be a great option. That'd be my suggestion. So that's where we'll leave that at.
Keith says at least you're on the ground.
Yeah.
Nick says dynamic soaring are the speed freaks.
Yes.
And thoughts on a Carf Rebel hot?
We may have one coming to the channel. I just sent a quote out this morning for one to build one. Cool plane. I mean, it's gonna be just like the other Rebels. They all fly great. Obviously, the smaller you get, the smaller it can get in the sky. So you just got to keep it close. But the Hot itself it's a pretty stinking cool aircraft. Like the one we priced out, we're probably going to put a Zykoi 60 in it, I think, is the plan. Yeah, and it's just like every other Rebel except just smaller. So.
Mistel says classic at 350 kilometers per hour is quite impressive going low and close, but way too easy to bend it, especially the wing tube.
Yes, yeah, which is why we got the carbon wing tubes. But the Rebel is not built for speed. I mean, they can go pretty fast, but I've seen some guys. Well, one guy I know, he actually bent an aluminum wing tube. Basically, he just had it at full throttle and he was pulling hard and stuff, and he landed and the wing tube's bent. So the plane's just not designed for that. But
Edgardo, did you try any Jet Central turbines?
yes, I have tried Jet Central turbines in the past. They're okay.
Craig says, appreciate all your content. Always learning something.
Thank you. Yeah, if I was to pick my two favorite engines right now, and I've said this in the past, basically if my plane will either have a Sweewin engine in it, my second choice, and sometimes first choice depending on the airplane, is a Zykoi engine. I've never owned a Zykoi engine yet, so the Zykoi in my Rebel Classic will be my first personally owned Zykoi engine, and then the one going in the T33 will be my second. But I've been around a ton of Zykoi engines, and they are very impressive engines. Different philosophy than the Sweewin lineup. The Sweewin lineup is a little bit bigger, big air intakes, lower RPM, which is cool. That's one of the things I like about the Swiwin. The Zykoys have some great features like super light. So if you want to build a really light aircraft, it's hard to beat those in some of their specific lineups.
Nick says, few people have done afterburners for model jet engine, but you need too much fuel when engaged, but pretty impressive.
They are. We were working with a guy on one for a project, not for a flying project, but it was a boat. And he basically predicted that it would double the output of the turbine, but the fuel usage goes up a tremendous amount. So
More than 400?
yeah, well, the model we were actually running it on was the 400.
Oh, okay.
So he actually he did up all the designs and everything specifically for the 400. So yeah, you'd be basically using like 2.5 liters a minute at full throttle, full afterburner, right?
Whoa.
So yeah, it's nuts. But for a boat or something fun, it's, who cares, right?
It's not going to come back down and
No,
crash.
because you can put 50 liters on there if you wanted to and not really notice it. So
Chad says, we can set up a FPV on something. I have more transmitters.
perfect. That's the plan.
That is the plan.
It'd be fun to put it in the jet. I think on the Boomerang would be easy because we could just take the NES character out and pop
Yeah.
it in the cockpit, and it's super simple. So
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun.
And it's not super, super fast. Like it's,
No, that one's not fast. It's just agile, right?
yeah.
So
Doug wants to know what causes the majority of flame outs and what kind of things can be done to avoid them.
flame outs. A lot of the flame out issues come down to installation on turbines. There's some basic fundamentals that I do on my installs to try and eliminate those things. So eliminating fuel connections, the distance between your UAT and your fuel pump pickup, I always try and keep as short as possible. So if I can, I want that length between the UAT and your fuel pump to be 6 inches, a nice bend right into the fuel pump. That's probably the biggest thing, is just having good feed to the pump, all of your fittings and everything tie wired and sized properly, barbed fittings, minimizing air intake is probably the biggest thing that causes it. So, if you're running a King Tech turbine and it flames out and it says low speed, well, chances are you probably got air in the system, is what happened. So. Well, bad fuel usually is sputtering, right? So usually when you go to accelerate with bad fuel and it's got moisture in it, it'll pop and hiss and sputter, and it's just bad. So.
Do you use or recommend auto restart? Some say too slow to be effective in the air and not so good if crashing.
Yeah, it's the auto restart's a tough one. So when we set up our turbines here in the shop, we always test the auto restart to ensure that it's functioning and set up properly. But before the turbine leaves and we record all of our data, that restart function is always turned off. So a turbine is never delivered with that restart function turned on. In the case of like a big twin aircraft like the SU, I would want the engine to restart, but if it's restarting because you've got a hole in your fuel line or something and it's just sucking in more air, it's just going to restart again and again. And when it restarts, it's very, very hot. So you can cause pipe damage when you restart. If you're not thinking about it properly and you have a flame out and you crash the aircraft, if you don't trim down on your radio and everything's still working in the plane, when you come in hard, that engine's going to try and be restarting, right? So you got to be thinking about that kind of stuff. So it's a great feature, but it can cause issues or damage to your plane or other things.
Do you turn it off in mid-flight?
Well, you just trim down. If you want to turn your engine off, yeah.
Jagman, do you think you can show us the internals of a jet engine in the future, like take apart a SWE-win?
Yeah, if we've been working on our balancer for a couple of years. It's not an easy process, partly because of the war. When the war started, the Russia thing, we had it all lined up and it was ready to come, and then the war started and that put a pause on everything. And we're still working on our balancer, but once the balancer comes in and we're taking apart an engine, I don't have a problem showing you guys the internal side. More than just taking the front cover off, because when you take the front cover off, I mean, it's really not much to see. There's a TCU, a turbine control unit, solenoid valves, and a little bits of plumbing and stuff. But the internals of the engine, yeah, I don't have a problem showing that stuff.
Edgardo says, I have a King Tech, but now I'll try Jet Central 100 Newton. No issues so far with my King Tech.
Yeah, the Jet Centrals, the one thing that I found with them that I wasn't overly happy with, and I don't want to knock any specific manufacturers because usually when I voice my opinion, like Powerbox, I get raked over the coals again and again and again. And
well,
apparently
everybody has their good and bad stuff.
I've ruined people's lives, but the one thing that I'm not a huge fan of with Jet Central is the throttle response from a true idle seems to be slower than other manufacturers. So in the middle of the range, so there's other manufacturers out there right now that are just starting in the turbine market, and when they do their acceleration checks, they're a blip above idle. So any turbine, when you're a blip above idle, it's already in the RPM range and it'll accelerate very fast. But a true idle, like a SWE-win, we set it up for 4 seconds. So when it goes to a true idle of 38,000 RPM and you go max RPM, it's about 4 seconds to get almost 100% throttle on that turbine. The old Jet Cats from 10 years ago, when you were at a true idle, so let's say you're doing your final approach, coming in for a landing, and you say, oh crap, I need to do a go around, and you throttle up, it's about 8 seconds. And I found Jet Centrals were kind of in between that range, so just something to be aware of. It's not the end of the world, but you just need to be aware of it, and for some airframes it really doesn't matter. On a scale airframe, if you're always in the power when you're landing, it doesn't really matter. But a sports jet, if you're coming off the power early in your final and you need to do a go around, it may matter.
Patrick says Merry Christmas. He stole his dad's laptop.
Nice. Merry Christmas, Patrick. Are you home or are you still in Arizona?
Oh, he's probably home now.
I hope you're home.
Yeah.
Better be.
Keith says, I'm World War II planes, but love your videos. We'll always keep watching.
Thank you.
To you and all your family and all watching, have a safe and Merry Christmas and New Year. Chad says, let's do it.
Sounds good. Boomerang Superland.
Okay.
FPV goggles. Not flying, of course. Don't worry. We're not going to fly at FPV. We're just going to let people have the experience.
Just putting a video in it so that you can have the goggles while somebody else is flying.
Exactly.
So you can see what the plane is doing up in the air, real time.
Delay time?
Yeah, it's good.
Gotten tighter?
Yeah.
Nick says, Nez for F14 test pilot. And says, King Tech are popular there as they can be serviced in country by agent, where most others have to be sent overseas. Hassel says, do you like King Tech engines? I've heard that dealing with American Repair Center is a nightmare.
That question's to me.
Just say, yeah, maybe sometimes, who knows?
For 10 years, I was a King Tech supporter. I no longer support King Tech. So.
Well, I mean, you got to go where the customer service is good, I guess,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're spending a lot of money, and if
Yeah.
customer service isn't great in any company, not just
Yeah.
specific ones, it makes a big difference, right?
Yeah.
Arnaud, have you tried using 2 UATs? I just started doing this in order to avoid fuel starvation due to fuel pickup skipping.
Yeah, so in my kinetics, I actually have 2 UATs if you guys want to check it out. I've never actually used it before until we did it in this plane, and the reason we did it in this plane was exactly what you were just talking about. So that'll be okay. Whew. So basically, this UAT is the one that pulls fuel to the fuel pump. That UAT is in between the fuel tank and this UAT. So the fuel tank feeds to this one feeds to this one feeds to the fuel pump. So what I found was happening was because that Kinetics fuel tank is just a big rectangle, there's no baffles in it, the fuel pickup was picking up a lot of air during very acrobatic flights. So my UAT was coming, when I was landing, would be like half full. I only had one flame out happen when it was landed and stopped. So I added the second UAT, and so when I land, that UAT is about half full. This UAT is perfect. There's like, it's never been this empty. The reason it's this empty is because I emptied the plane for flight, but that has totally solved all my problems, and it's awesome. It's actually a really great setup. So I would definitely suggest doing that, and I would do it in the future if I ever had a plane that had that kind of tank issue or tank setup. And I mean, I could run a felt clunk in that tank. The downside is my bunghole for the tank is very, very skinny, so I can't put a felt clunk in there, and I'm not a huge fan of the felt clunks. So.
Nick says, oh, the poor loves, they can suck it up, buttercups. Like he's talking about different people that complain.
Yeah.
And then he says, I saw 4 restarts in the air here, all successful, less than 5 seconds. The only drama goes full power, just as landed, but saved in time.
Yeah, the restarts, they're usually like on the ground, like when we're doing our test runs. From a true full restart, so power, turbine shutdown to resuming where it was last left off is about 13 to 15 seconds. You'll start to get power back on in about 5 to 8 seconds, but if you're at half throttle, it takes about 13 seconds to get back to half throttle for pretty much any turbine that I've tested. They're all very much the same. So.
Patrick says he's at home.
Nice.
David just joined us. He says, howdy, late, but will not miss a live.
Howdy, David. Thanks for joining in. You missed all the good stuff.
Go through it again.
We finished your SU. It's all done. We put the engines that we don't have in there. It's perfect.
Kenneth says, what are the prices on turboprops?
For the engines, I'm assuming?
Maybe.
I don't know. There's not a lot of manufacturers that sell turboprops. There's basically Zykoy, KingTech, JetCat, and Wren, if you consider them. They're expensive for what they are. So, Nezzy?
Max says, hi from Miami Jets, really big fan.
Hey, Max, how are you? Hopefully you're doing good.
And Brady, I remember them from last time.
Yep.
Says, how y'all doing? Brady here in Florida. I believe I saw my mom wrapping a box from the lighter side of RC the other day.
Ooh.
What could it be?
I wonder what it could be. Maybe we shipped you some of our snow. No, probably not. Brr.
Chad says, with head tracking, the only way to do it in a jet.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That would be actually
So you'd be
ideal.
like,
Because you could be flying slow and level and be looking around, like doing a pass over the runway, and you look to the left at people.
oh my gosh.
That'd be awesome.
Okay, I want to be the first one to try this.
All right, we'll set it up. Chad's got the stuff. We just
Okay.
need to get the, I think Anthony has the the print files for the motorized thing, like to make it turn. So maybe Chad has that stuff. I don't know.
Brian says, sweet wind turbines rule. I have 3, 140, 170, and 190.
They are very nice.
David says, I will see it again.
Good.
Nick says, one of the restarts was a turboprop Tucano times 2 restarts.
Oh boy.
David's going to watch the live from the beginning.
Nice. Yeah, we talked about some good stuff in the beginning, especially that cockpit over there. Oh my gosh, that is so nice. So nice.
And he wants to know if Russell's here. Russell's got a man cold.
Yeah, poor Russell.
He's watching from home.
Yeah. I appreciate that though, for not trying to make us sick.
Yeah, I don't need to be sick.
Man colds don't affect women.
No, because we have the ability to give birth.
Yeah. Oh gosh, here we go.
Oh no. I stepped into that one.
Yes, you did.
Now my shoes are brown.
What? Women have way more pain receptors than men.
Yes,
and
dear.
we have the ability to tolerate way more than you guys.
Oh, I hear poor Luna.
Well, we won't go into that.
Hi, Lou.
You have nothing to say?
No, I'm not going to go into that. No.
Luna, where's your hat? You're on the thumbnail. Where's your hat? You're on the thumbnail. That picture was from last year, actually. What? Oh, I bet you ate the sausage, didn't you?
Oh, licking your lips.
Yeah. Somebody ate the sausage off the counter.
Got a question. How many airplanes have you built for David?
Oh my gosh. Who's that question coming from?
It's coming from Fred Weaver.
Uh,
Oh, wait, hang on. That's not. No, it's coming from the Renault Gautier.
Ask David.
yeah, ask David. David, how many planes have I built for you? I don't know. It's the most. He's my number one customer. Sorry to tell you if you're a customer of mine. Oh, yes. Hi.
Fred says, hello and Merry Christmas from Fred in Oregon.
Hi, Fred.
David says, not enough. Another got added this week.
Yep. The Razor, we talked about that. We'll need a 20 by 8 foot trailer to bring planes down next year.
You just need a semi-truck.
That would be handy.
Nick says,
Coach.
no,
Yeah.
he has man flu.
Yeah, poor Russell has the man flu.
Yeah.
I can get you a coach.
Nick says, Joe, you're the 3D man. Yes, he is.
Yes, he
In
is.
the bottom part where the luggage goes.
Brian says, yay, Luna to the rescue.
Yeah.
She seems to be happy.
Luna just ate a sausage off the counter, so I'm just guessing.
Probably. Nick says, not enough for David. And David says, yeah, not enough. More to come.
Well, if you look at the list, which we looked at earlier, it's basically 50% David, so
Chad says, we'll get Joe to print a couple of them.
yeah.
Greg says, OMG, Luna made an appearance. What a sweet girl. Lab guy at heart. Yeah, she's a sweetheart.
Both of them have like crusty stuff on their bodies. I don't know what they
I'm
have.
going to blame it on a kid.
Yeah, it's probably the kids putting stuff on them. Here, Luna, let's do a face mask on you.
Flight Systems RC, logged on late myself. Just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas.
Flight Systems, that's Sal. Thanks, Sal. That kit for the BDX looks money. So nice. Now I really want a BDX so I can put one of those light kits on there. Ooh.
David says, hopefully a BVM Classic Ultra Bandit by March.
Yep,
And Joe says, I can do that. I have the files.
perfect.
Sal says, one can be yours.
I know. Just need to send money to Pablo, Mr. Elite Aerosports. But then I want a Razor too, so it's a hard choice. I need more money. Hard life.
Either that or start doing some work trades.
So many planes that I want, not enough room or money
Or time.
or time.
You're gonna have larger Air Force than the Canadians.
I don't know if you guys heard that, but Ford said Jonathan's going to have a larger Air Force than the Canadians.
There you go. This is what Nez does.
Oh, yeah. This is her happy place.
Yeah. And then she just goes to sleep.
He gives Jonathan boobs. Now you can play with them.
There, buddy.
Inez.
Oh my gosh. And then we just go like this and we walk around and work on planes. And she's like purring and sleeping.
Brian says, me too. More planes make Brian happy.
I know. More planes makes the lighter side of RC happy too.
Nick says, would like
It's
a
okay.
king cat. Is that
Yeah.
right? They
Yeah.
are just so ...
Yeah. Classic.
Chad says Luna needs eyebrows.
Luna, you need some eyebrows?
You need eyebrows?
Let's give you some eyebrows. Come on, Nez, get out of there.
David says, did you talk about the MUI concept
Yeah? Where you been?
for the monster?
Yep. But I think Klaus said we should call it the demon. I just didn't want to call it the demon because of the Cortex, but the demon's better. No, come here. So this is what we do with Luna when we go flying. Makes people laugh.
She needs a beauty mark too.
Beauty mark? Here. Hopefully if you're a PETA fan, this isn't really animal abuse. It just washes off. Aw, so pretty. I got more Nezzy fur on me.
You gotta let me outside now.
Yeah, she's gonna go show her friends.
David says, makes me real happy.
More planes? More planes makes everybody happy. Any
Max
more?
says, I think the Canadians are going to want you to build planes for them since you're an awesome builder. Brian says, Jonathan's pregnant with Kat.
Yeah.
Doug wants to know, what was the learning curve like with the Jetty radio?
Still learning.
Yeah, always learning, but it was a neat progress. So basically we got a radio in the shop to use as a shop radio. And I initially kind of just figured stuff out on my own, which was handy because I pretty much used the same process as you'd use with like a JR radio or a Spectrum radio for setting things up. And it worked. And the reason, so David actually helped me convert to Jetty. And it was kind of a neat process because I kind of just did that on my own. And then he sent me a file to use, which is still what I use for starting an aircraft. And it's just a blank file. And then in baby steps, we started learning the whys of why we do things this way and why we do things this way. So it wasn't a huge, like, throw you to the lions kind of thing. It was basically small baby steps. And it really wasn't that hard. The thing about Jetty is you can do things so many different ways. And there's really not a right way or a wrong way. There's just better ways. So the reason we do things a certain way is because it works better with flight modes, or the reason we use a clone is because it works better for certain applications. And that's the reason we do things the way we do. But it was the learning curve really wasn't too bad. It's just figuring out the different methods of doing those things.
And I think since you got that, I might say the template, makes it really easy
Yeah.
to set yourself up on
Yeah.
planes. You're not having to do it every single time. You just go to your template and fill in the blanks.
Yeah, the
It's kinda nice.
the default model really helps with that because so much of the work's already done for you when you set up a brand new model. So, like when we set the Rebel up, I think David sent me the file, but if we set the Rebel up from the template, pretty easy. And then when I did my Rebel, I just copied that Rebel and made a couple changes to the way I fly things, and that's it. It was 100% done already, so super simple.
Edgardo says, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year all. See you next year.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you.
David says, someone may not appreciate the use of demon. Monster sounds better.
Yeah, agreed.
Kenrick, Sky Candy has lights for the 2-meter Rebel. Are you getting them for your Rebel?
No, my Rebel I'm just going to keep as light as possible. That's why we set it up the way we did with one battery running everything. I know that's craziness, but that's the way it's set up. One battery running everything, turbine, receiver, all that stuff. So I don't want to add anything more to it. I want it to be as light as possible because it flies so much better. Not that the lights would add a ton of weight, but when you start adding a little bit here and a little bit here and a little bit here, that adds up very quickly. If I do get a BDX, the big size BDX, I will absolutely put Sky Candy lights on it because they're amazing.
Having one battery, wouldn't that cause you to, I say charge your battery after every flight?
No.
Or
You have a 5,000 milliamp battery.
okay.
You could probably put 10 flights on that plane before you'd have to recharge. Now, that's not the right thing to do. Like, you want to have a system, right? So you fly 3 flights and then you recharge. Maybe you fly 4 flights and recharge. Maybe it's 2, whatever you want to do, right? But the reason you use a big battery is because your turbine might use 200 milliamps per flight of the 5,000. Your control system might use, let's say, 200. I think that's too much.
Yeah.
I think it's using less, but so let's say 400 milliamps a flight.
Okay.
Let's just say 500
Yeah.
to keep it easy. So if you're using 500 milliamps a flight and you do 4 flights, you've pulled out 2,000 milliamps, there's 3,000 left.
Yeah.
So maybe you recharge after 4 flights. So.
Well, we set you up where you fly for the day and then charge.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
But I would always suggest having a system.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't suggest having your system of 4 flights, then recharging, and then maybe going to an event and say, well, I can push it to 8 flights. I would never do that.
Yeah.
It'd be a bad idea. I would just always stick with your system. That's one of the things that saves airplanes is if you put your plane together a certain way and you have a system, follow the system.
Yeah.
If you fuel up and have a system, follow the system.
Yeah. Start a procedure, follow the system.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know that from scenes that happened sometimes before. Where it's
Yeah.
Plane, nothing's going on because somebody stopped halfway through the routine.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of going, okay, where am I?
Yeah.
Go back to the beginning and start over again. Instead of trying to figure out where you're going to continue on, and then you miss a step.
Exactly.
We
Yeah.
had issues, like say, that happened when we were at Lewis Airport.
Yeah.
And a step was missed.
Yeah. The systems are important. So.
David says, besides an awesome builder, a magical builder.
Thank you.
Nick says, amazing things can still get like the bull without telemetry.
Yeah.
You never would have found the issue.
Yeah. I mean, the bull is sad. Hopefully they can build me a new fuselage, which would be, I mean, that would like make my year for sure if they can build me a new fuselage. But you're absolutely right. Like the bull event sucked, but having the telemetry ultimately was the saving grace because I found out exactly why it happened and we prevent it now from happening in any other aircraft. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with the V-Speak telemetry, just can't put it near anything, right? So, you know, you want to keep it away from other devices. So we always separate it now by a couple inches from anything. So unfortunately, I had to pay for the price to learn, but that's okay. It's part of the hobby.
Just something that you just did. You never even thought about it.
Yeah.
Because you never thought it was an issue.
Yeah.
Now you know.
Exactly.
David says, now you're a jetty expert.
The Jetty Jedi.
Well,
Great.
taught by Yoda himself.
And what I learned from David is that make every plane the same.
Yeah.
Maybe the planes are different, but everything there is the same. So
Yeah.
no, you don't have to think, okay, what do I have to do for this plane? It's no matter what the plane is, startup is the same, the system is the same.
Exactly. Your switches are the same. Everything's the same.
Even though the plane is different.
Yeah.
Which is, I would never think of doing something like that.
Yeah. Final questions. You got 4 minutes left. I thought we were only doing an hour, but we're creeping up on 2.
That's to say, I look at my watch and go,
Time just zips by. I love doing the lives. It's tons of fun. And we didn't even work on any planes. It's great.
It was a Q&A day.
It was, yeah.
You should have that.
That's what I wanted it for.
As
So
people send questions on your Facebook
yeah,
or on YouTube. That then you sit down and you'll print them out.
yeah,
Take the
that's a good
top
idea.
10 or 15 or 20 or whatever you feel you need and answer those questions.
Yeah.
Just answer them all.
Sure.
I think that'd be a good idea for.
Actually, well, so let's talk about that now. Do you have another question, Katie?
Yeah, there's a few more.
So if you guys have any questions that we don't touch on, or let's say tomorrow you think about it, shoot me an email, thelightersideofrc@gmail.com. Put in there live question, because I'll respond to your email if you want me to, but if you want me to touch on it during the live here, which would be kind of cool, I'll print those off and we'll go over those questions as well. So if you do think about those questions, shoot me an email and I will I'll compile the list. So go ahead.
Just a comment here. Hassel said a buddy sent an engine to King Tech USA for repair after a minor crash, bent tail cone. Had a dispute and later got the engine back all disassembled in a bag.
Oh, that's good service. Oh yeah.
Really
Yeah.
bad experience.
Yeah, sorry.
Again, customer service.
Sorry, no,
in every
no
area.
comment.
Just fix the damn thing.
Yeah,
Use it later.
It can happen anywhere, but
it can. They're all mechanical, electrical devices. They can all have issues, but the customer service is important.
yeah. John says, Merry Christmas, all the best in the new year.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you.
Nick says, you don't really see the programming time Jonathan puts in sorting and setting these machines.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that adds up a lot actually. Like the 339 even, you think you're done, then you get into the programming stage and it's like 4 or 5 more hours of little bits and tweaks and tidbits. So
Come here on a Saturday, sometimes that's all we do.
that's all we do, yeah.
Sitting in there, pushing buttons and
Yeah.
I'm hanging over your shoulder, watching what you're doing.
Yeah.
learning.
John says, the best thing in my stocking this year is a trusty bent screwdriver.
Nice.
People, whenever you guys see him out in the field, bring up the trusty screwdriver and hold it in front of you and walk up to him and give him the trusty screwdriver salute. Wave it above your head.
John asks, is Jetty also the top of the line for buddy boxing?
Yeah, I mean, I think most of the systems do a really good job. Like even Spectrum does a great job with the wireless system. I think most manufacturers have it down really well. Jetty, it's wireless again as well. The way we do it is we have the default settings. So we use one receiver as primary, one receiver as clone, and that allows you to pair up your radio with another Jetty radio, and you can do wireless buddy boxing. Works perfect, right? Like you flick a switch and the other person has control. So yeah, it's super easy. So, but they all do a great job at it. Spectrum kind of has a unique thing where you're buddy boxing, and if I'm the primary and somebody else is flying and I move a switch or adjust the stick, then it immediately takes over. That's kind of cool, but I don't necessarily like that, because sometimes when I'm helping somebody fly and I'm being the master radio, I'll usually sometimes be adjusting my throttle or just like pretending I'm flying with them while I'm on the radio, just so my finger is on the stick. And it has been a critical thing sometimes. So, but they all work good.
Kenneth says, night y'all, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Good
Renee
night.
was the screen or the name that I was trying to pronounce
Oh.
before because it was all together. But love watching your videos. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Tracy says, I've heard you mention you don't have different rates on your jets. Can you talk about your reason for that?
Yeah, there's, so I do have different rates, but not a switch that allows high and low rates, if that makes sense. So I have different flight modes. So we've got this switch right here, which is my flight mode switch. This switch also happens to operate my flaps. And there is usually the same rates across all the different flap settings. But on some planes, we may put more travel on landing elevators or ailerons, because when you're going slower, your surfaces are less responsive. High and low rates, yes, for aerobatic planes, for jets. It's just, in my mind, it's not needed. You know, I set my planes up like my, I don't know, I think about my, my kinetics as an example. You know, when I go full stick, it rolls pretty stinking quick. I use like 30% expo. So when I'm flying, often it's just millimeter movements on my stick, on my primary control stick. I'm not doing huge movements unless I'm going slow. So it's just, I've always done it that way. I remember learning from Dave Wilshire over in the UK not to have different rates on the planes, like a high and low rate switch. It just doesn't make sense to me why you would do that. Fly with expo, have lots of surface movement. So if you need a lot of elevator at a certain point, you've got it, but you're using expo in small stick movements. Because then your plane always feels the same, I guess, is the best way to say it. And that's why also I'll have my gyro switch on and off. That also has flight modes associated with it. So if I'm flying around in normal mode, so gyro on, I might have 25% expo on my elevators and ailerons. When I go gyro off, the gyro adds expo automatically. So when I go gyro off, I need more expo on those surfaces. So I might put my expo on my elevators and ailerons to 40%. What happens there is the plane feels the same whether my gyro is on or off. And that's the problem with rates is, you know, high rates, low rates, you know, you're trying to remember to adjust those things. You're coming in for a landing. Oh crap, I'm still on low rates. I don't have enough elevator to flare. I mean, yeah, so that's my thoughts on it.
Brian says the bull was a sad thing to watch for sure.
Yeah.
Nick says you guys are a hoot. Looking forward to 2024.
Thank you.
Greg says a trusty bent screwdriver tip time. Blue tag rags get ripped of pet hair. Get rid of pet hair.
Blue tack, oh, tack rags, yeah. That's a good idea. Yeah.
Oh, there, you got some over there.
I know.
Edgardo says Russell may need a microphone. I barely hear him.
Oh,
That's
on
Ward
purpose.
over here.
That's okay.
Russell's at home with the man cold. David says, wish you, Katie, and family a Merry Christmas. Thank you very much for all that you do. We will chat later.
Thanks, David.
Brady said, okay, just a couple more. He says, hope you guys have a Merry Christmas. Hopefully I'm opening a trusty bent screwdriver on Christmas morning. Russell says, Edgardo will be there in the new year. Yes, I require a mic PG approved.
A mic PG approved.
Oh, mic PG approved, yeah. Merry Christmas, can't wait for the next live. Nick says he's going to go out and run in the rain because he can. And John says, very Merry Christmas and thank you for a great 2023 and really looking forward to 2024.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate everybody for supporting the channel, whatever channel you're supporting. We've got 3 now. Thank you so much for watching the content. Thank you for getting on the lives and participating. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year to everybody. Next live will be in 2 weeks, the normal scheduled time, I believe. By then, we will have ridiculous projects in the shop that if you watch the next live, we probably won't even have videos out yet of the new project, so it'll be a good one. It's going to be a wicked 2024. Looking forward to it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel. We'll see you next time.